They've made the Sweet 16 each of the past 2 years. But really getting beyond that, past the Elite Eight, to a Final Four, that is where the Vols have struggled.
UCLA, I don't even know if they get past Utah State in that 7-10 matchup, to be quite honest with you. A Kentucky team that goes and ebbs and flows. Illinois at the 6. Which Illinois team we getting?
Only on SportsGrid.
Which is a great place to be. Are you in the locker room, like you're giving like the Any Given Sunday Inches Al Pacino speech? Are we there yet?
Oh yeah, I think we've been there. We're gonna have a long talk with Rob today about the 99-199 issue from last week. Like I just don't get how he is still employed. We gotta talk to ownership about that one.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
That is also value to be the best player on the best team. To me, it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There is no doubt about it.
The Nuggets probably going to finish, second overall in the conference here, and it's not going to get him the MVP. We'll see how it is down the stretch, and I assume this is going to tighten up, but barring a huge drop-off for OKC as a team, not just SGA, you could probably pencil him in for 30 a night.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Hello and welcome to a Thursday live right here on the Early Line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination to consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. We are here together for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern Time. A Thursday where the madness fully begins. It is round of 64 Thursday at the 2025 Men's NCAA Tournament. 16 games over about 13 consecutive hours in the greatest tournament you will ever see. The big dance fully underway as of this Thursday. We will preview every single opening round matchup that we have on this Thursday slate and, of course, paint the path throughout the entirety of the madness all the way through a bracket who will end up in San Antonio at a Final Four in a couple of weeks from Monday night, who will be cutting down the nets as a national champion. We'll recap to what we saw on a great Wednesday night, the final night of the first four in Dayton, Ohio. Dayton, Ohio felt like Cincinnati, Ohio, as we'll recap for you in just a moment. Some action around the association, some NFL news, and plenty of great insight with a focused DRS on everybody starting to dance on this Thursday.
Yes, they are. And by the way, last night, it's a shame for American University. You never like to see one of the best players on the team go down early and their season go up in flames, but you do have to credit Mount St. Mary's. We'll get into that. And Xavier, Texas, looks like it was a great game. Didn't see a single bounce of the basketball in that one. Congratulations, NCAA. You had 2 tournament games to play yesterday. You started one after 9 o'clock. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I'm excited for today. We're taking the points today. There's going to be upsets today, and just like every single year in my bracket, I feel like, Ben, in my teen years, in my early 20s, I was much better with the tournament. Like, he's like, hey, man, I didn't lose a game like on the first day. I lost one game. It feels like I lose like 3 or 4 games in the first stanza now in the NCAA tournament. It's wild times right now. It is.
It's why we love this tournament, defined by its chaos and, of course, known for its madness. Let me quickly ask you, DRS. Our final game tonight expected to tip a little bit after 10 p.m. Eastern. Texas Tech to 3. I was going to say, do you make any exceptions to stay up a little bit later on the greatest 2 days of the calendar year? Okay.
Look, I'm 47 now. Back maybe when I was 40, absolutely loved every minute of it. If I didn't work a morning show, yes. But consider me tomorrow morning catching up on 90% of the action today. Heck, I might even take a nap around dinner time here and miss some of the 7 o'clock games. So you never know. I'm going to try to do as best I can, get caught up here, and, of course, win some money.
However you can preserve your energy for the long marathon that is a sprint. In a round of 64 Thursday, and of course, followed by Friday. DRS, one of the great things about First Four action in Dayton, Ohio, if the games are good, if the games are close, it can provide a little bit of a glimpse into what we will see for the entirety of the big dance. It felt like that last night, especially in our nightcap, the battle to be the true 11 seed in the Midwest region, Texas and Xavier. And Xavier prevails, the team from the state of Ohio, not all that far away in Cincinnati. It felt like a home crowd. It felt like the UD Arena became the Cintas Center as Xavier prevails with a huge comeback. Down by double digits about midway through that second half, down by as many as 13 points against the Longhorns out of the SEC. Xavier wins 86-80. The Musketeers cover as a 2.5-point favorite and a total of 150 and a hook. Skies over.
I mean, I think by the time I did all my shows yesterday, I gave out both sides of this game because of how close it actually was. So shout out to SportsGrid Network for tweeting out I had the -2.5 on Xavier. So cash that baby all the way through. But my goodness, like Texas 47-39 at the break. You can't just fold up in the second half, which they did. But as you said, credit Xavier, credit that home crowd. The game is never over. You're talking about 18 to 22-year-old kids. They fought all the way through. And one of those games that I predicted to be a back and forth coin flip game really ended up that way. Texas in the lead for most of the game. Xavier takes over at the end of the game, and then it's still, you had some spread balance, 4 points, make a free throw, get a dunk at the end of the basketball game. So all the way through, that spread was in doubt right up to the end.
Yes, it certainly was, DRS. Capped off with the exclamation point, Zach Fremantle, a dunk in the closing seconds that will send Xavier to the round of 64 in a matchup against Illinois. We talked about the Musketeers' prolific nature shooting from deep. Last night, 48% from three. Marcus Foster, the Furman transfer, 4 of 5 from range. So Xavier is on to the round of 64. Our first of 14 SEC teams into the men's NCAA tourney already sent packing. How about our first game of the first 4 last night? We expected a slow slugfest with a total of 128 and a hook between Mount St. Mary's, the champions out of the MAC, and, of course, the champions out of the Patriot League in American University. Donnie, the offense was free-flowing these past 48 hours in Dayton, Ohio. The Mount victorious for a third time in program history in the Big Dance, 83-72. They win outright as a 2.5-point dog. I mentioned that total of 128.5 stood no chance. Flies over last night in Dayton.
By the way, maybe we have to change like the approach from Dayton. It used to be in the past like the rims are a little bit tougher and the teams aren't playing well. I mean, offense was the name of the game here over the past 2 days in Dayton. It was fun to watch. I was out working my pubs a little bit early in that. I had to do like a double take, like, wait a second, the score is this after the first commercial break? How's the score this at the 10-minute mark, at the 5-minute? 48-38 with two teams that you expected to go slow, be precautious, make your shots when they're available. That wasn't the case. A fun game all the way through, but as I said, marred a little bit by injury. Maybe we got a closer game at the end if everybody was full gas, but that happens in real life. It just does in real time.
We talked about Matt Rogers yesterday, the leader for AU, for the Eagles, looking for that first ever tourney win.
Start, too.
He only played, good start. Only played about 8 minutes in the game, dealing with a significant right knee injury. Other college basketball news outside of the tourney, NC State has hired a new head basketball coach. His name is Will Wade, the current head coach of McNeese, leading the Cowboys to a second consecutive NCAA tournament in both of his years in Lake Charles. It was announced yesterday that at the conclusion of the Pokes run, Will Wade is headed to Raleigh to lead the Wolfpack.
Yeah, congratulations, Will. Just get on the jet right now, get on the G5, head to North Carolina, leave these kids alone, let them have the spotlight. You couldn't wait a day or two to actually step in, understanding behind the scenes you were going to take this job. But hey, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you so much. I used you guys. Now I'm out of here. Good luck in the tournament. I don't care if we win or lose. I can't wait to get to Carolina down there in Raleigh. Stop the madness, man. Disgraceful, Will Wade.
Will Wade is always a very transparent guy, was even asked about the potential job openings at his press conference yesterday. I think this was probably known by his players and his organization. We'll see. NC State gets a winner, though, in Will Wade. That guy knows how to coach ball. Some NBA action last night. Some drama in Miami. Cade Cunningham at the buzzer. The winner for Detroit as the Pistons edge out the Heat in South Beach, 116-113.
Yeah, good win by them there. Didn't cover the spread. I thought they would be able to win by 5+ points then there, but as you said, close game, 116-113. Hey, Miami, can you win a game every once in a while heading towards the playoffs if you want to get in? Goodness.
9 straight L's for the Heat. No Nikola Jokic, no Jamal Murray, no LeBron James last night in Los Angeles. A difficult game, DRS, to handicap, but led by Luka Doncic, the Lakers win by double digits, 120-108. Denver was a road favorite. When we were live yesterday, the Lakers closed as a 5-point home favorite. They cover.
Yeah, I got a new idea for the NBA. How about we don't play any regular season games? We just get to the playoffs and seed all 32 teams like the tournament. Probably get better ratings and more of an effort here. The NBA, you are a disgrace on a night-to-night basis.
NFL news, a ton of rule changes proposed yesterday. The Packers trying to get rid of the tush push. The Lions basically want to undo the NFL, and free agent wide receiver Stephon Diggs meets with New England. Donnie, 10 seconds to the break. Go.
It ain't broke. Don't fix it, NFL. Come on.
Yeah, pretty good product. More on the early line up next.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The madness officially underway the previous two nights in Dayton, Ohio. But on this Thursday, one of the greatest days on the sports calendar, frankly, just the calendar, each and every year returns. It is round of 64 Thursday at the 2025 Men's NCAA Tournament. How did we reach 64 teams? That's what we will break down and recap for you here to start off this opening hour live on a Thursday on the early line. DRS yesterday in Dayton, Ohio, but it felt like Cincinnati, Ohio, with the home crowd traveling from Cincy to Dayton, replicating the Cintas Center for Xavier and spurring on the Musketeers in a dramatic second half comeback that is always the embodiment of what we see throughout the big dance. Xavier victorious in the matchup against Texas, 86-80. The Musketeers do cover as a 2.5-point, you could almost say home favorite. A total of 150 and a hook does sky over. Donnie, we thought the difference in this game for what was going to be closely contested could be the Musketeers as the sixth best three-point shooting team in the country. Last night that came through, especially in clutch moment after clutch moment. Sean Miller's Musketeers, 12 of 25 from deep, led by Marcus Foster, who was 4 of 5 from range as well. Xavier wins, Xavier covers, Xavier is on to the round of 64.
Yeah, 2.5s, 3.5s. If it was around the 4.5s, came into play late in that game. But understand this too. Like the handicap for me was Xavier Musketeers, which I've said multiple times. If you look just on paper, because we're at a conference and that's where it gets a little bit of a struggle for me. But the handicap was towards the Xavier Musketeers. I thought they had an edge in certain instances against the Longhorns that they certainly could take advantage of, and they did. But also the advantage for the Texas Longhorns was they play in the toughest and deepest conference in college basketball. You give them the benefit of the doubt. Ben and I sat here yesterday and said, you know what? It's really interesting because there's a lot of red with the Texas A&M Longhorns, which means a lot of losses in conference play. They were 6-12. There is something to be playing tough teams because Xavier technically is a tough team. They're a tournament team. But also, there's not moral victories like, hey, tough team came close, didn't win. But that felt like that was the schedule for Texas this year where they're 6-12, getting the benefit of, we didn't win very many games. We stayed close against a lot of good teams, and we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. That was exactly how it played out in game one for them in the tournament. Played a good team in good competition and didn't win, but stayed close. And are you giving them the benefit of that loud? No, they didn't cover, and they're going home. So the cap was towards Xavier, but we're just trusting the SEC. And as Ben, you pointed out to start the show, all right, a lot of SEC teams in. Was it a great Texas team? No, but it wasn't like Texas was the 11 going against a higher seed. It was 11 versus 11. You trusted the SEC, and you lost.
DRS, I think it's a great point, and we'll talk about the Southeastern Conference and its outlook in the big dance, because you could make an argument, well, Texas wasn't one of our best teams. They were 6-12. Wait until Auburn and Florida and Tennessee and Alabama are playing in the Elite Eight with spots in the Final Four at stake. And I'll hear it, right? The top of the top, the cream of the crop is sensational out of the SEC and, frankly, all around college hoops this season. But one of the reasons the SEC was perceived as the strongest conference we have ever known in the history of college basketball was because you got 14 teams into the big dance, and teams like Texas were supposed to be so much better than the fourth team or the fifth team out of the Big East, even considered for the big dance. On night number one for the SEC did not go their way. And Donnie, that was the story for the Longhorns. They dropped 7 of their last 9 games to end out the regular season. But then they got a little bit healthier. Kendall Weaver came back, a glue guy for Rodney Terry and the Longhorns. You have the sensational freshman in Trey Johnson. They win their first 2 games in Nashville outright over 2 other tournament teams, Vandy and Texas A&M as an underdog. That was enough with 7 quad 1 victories to bolster and solidify the resume. The knock against the Musketeers, very similar to that of North Carolina. Only a single quad 1 victory all year long. But the Musketeers, much like UNC, understood the task at hand. Down the home stretch of the regular season, they could ill afford a slip-up. They could not lose a game they were expected not to, and they didn't. Xavier won 7 straight down the stretch. They covered in 6 of those 7 wins, and they fought Marquette hard in the Big East quarterfinal in Madison Square Garden last week, but did come up on the losing end, covered in that game as an underdog. The Musketeers, much like UNC, rounding into form, looking like a tournament team, playing their best basketball, and a huge win in Dayton. And Donnie, that second half comeback, down by 10 with around 12 minutes remaining, really spurred on by the faithful of Xavier being there in Dayton last night.
Exactly, and that's when the pressure comes in. Can you hold off? Because you understand this. Once shots start to fall for the team that's down, you get a little bit tense here for the team in the lead. And also, when you're in unfamiliar surroundings, like playing in a neutral court, which wasn't really a neutral court because the other team had more fans, you start to cave in just a little bit. It was a great second half all the way through, and you got to give Xavier Musketeers a lot of credit. But at the same time, isn't that Texas's MO? Good team, play close, don't win, get the benefit of the doubt. No more benefits of the doubt. Xavier's moving on. They were the better team in the second half last night. 47-33, got the win, and for their backers, got the cover as well.
Also, Texas ends their year now over in 13 of their final 14 games, all 4 games in Dayton, Ohio. Sky to the over in first 4 action. Maybe a changing of the times. Maybe it represents the offense we are going to see throughout the 2025 NCAA Tournament. So Xavier wins. They'll make the short trip to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where tomorrow night they will take on the 6th seed in the Midwest region, that being Illinois. Donnie, I cannot wait for this game. The Illini just a 3.5-point favorite. I got to go during the commercial break and bet that total to the over of 159.5. We have 2 up-tempo teams. We have 2 stellar offensive teams, much like last night for Xavier and Texas. I think we see some points between the Musketeers and the Fighting Illini.
And we should. Every time Illinois is on the court, we should be seeing some points. They won't defend all that much, and they're going to get up-tempo and score a lot of points here. I do have Illinois advancing with Xavier, but let's just see how that goes, where Xavier didn't play all that well in the first half of their first game, played well in the second half. Short plane ride, as you said, they are already in quote-unquote playoff mode right now with momentum taking on Illinois. We'll see if that factors in.
The 16 seeds could make history, right? They could pull off the upset. But as we have shared, since 2011, first year of the first 4, in every tournament with the exception of 2019, a first 4 team in Dayton has also won at least 1 game in the round of 64. Is it going to be North Carolina, a slight favorite against Ole Miss? Could the Musketeers continue their March momentum? The first game in Dayton last night. Next.
That magical time of the year when everyone suddenly becomes a basketball expert. Highlight watching, mascot picking, bracket stressing. Sound familiar? Skip the guesswork with Bracket Central. Real expert picks, trusted analysis, and zero stress. Because choosing teams by mascot cuteness isn't exactly a winning strategy. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
A great 2 nights in Dayton, Ohio at the first 4 for the 2025 Men's NCAA Tournament. that featured some history and some dramatic games. Third NCAA tournament win in program history for the Mount. Mount St. Mary's, the champions of the MAC, last night victorious against the champions of the Patriot League in American University, 83-72. But Donnie, first year for another Donnie. Donnie Lynn, the head coach of the Mountaineers, his first year as a collegiate basketball head coach this year at the Mount, leading the Mountaineers to a victory in the Big Dance, to 23 wins this season, the most in program history as a D1 school since 1988-89. But you saw that final score, 155 combined points between the Mount and the Eagles for what we had with a pregame total of 128 and a hook. The offense on full display. Mount St. Mary's wins outright, by the way, as a 2.5-point dog as well.
Yeah, pour a little bit out to the Sharps out there. And you can't fault them. It's a pretty good strategy over the past couple of years where it's like take the first half unders, and you see this game 48-38 where they're shooting the light out and everybody's ultra efficient. But I do get back to the point with American because I actually thought American could win this game. They end up losing by 11 points. But even Matt Rogers goes down. 8 minutes played, 3 or 4 from the floor, a couple boards there, no personal fouls. He goes down. It's almost like, I don't want to say like the life went out of American because they didn't give up at that point. But down 10 at the break without one of your best players, you knew it was going to be a tough hill to climb in the second half. But also, you have to give a lot of credit to Mount St. Mary's. 83 points, unbelievable efficiency, 41% from the three-point line, 83% from the free throw line, and 58% from the floor in a neutral court in a spotlight game against light competition. They were phenomenal in that game. I thought American was the better team. They weren't. It was Mount St. Mary's, injury or no injury.
Yeah, no doubt about it, DRS. The loss of Matt Rogers for the Eagles, the champions of the Patriot League, as we broke it down yesterday, their best player by a wide margin. He has been at the program for the entirety of his collegiate career. So to get to the NCAA tournament had to mean something. An unfortunate scenario dealing with a right knee injury. And he was great to start. 3 of 4 from the floor, 1 of 1 from deep. Did have 7 points in only 8 minutes. You wonder what the game would have been for AU had he been fully healthy for all 40 minutes. But it might not have been enough, even if he was out there. And Donnie, one of the reasons we saw so many points last night, flying over a total of 128 and a hook, is a couple of career nights for the Mount's Jenny Cordelia, who had 22 points on 10 of 11 shooting, a career high. Dola Adebayo for the Mount as well, 22 points on 9 of 15 from the floor. Mount St. Mary's as a team shot nearly 58% from the field. They are known for their defense. They can be a little careless with the basketball. It did get a little dicey with about under 3.5 minutes remaining when we saw a little bit of a charge from AU. The Mount was able to hold them off. Mount St. Mary's, now the official 16 seed in the East region. Their gift after winning an NCAA tournament are national title favorites in the top seed in that portion of the bracket. That will be Duke. Now the largest line, Donnie, we will see for the opening round of 64, 32.5 in favor of the Blue Devils.
Yeah, those are always tough numbers to look at because you expect Duke to absolutely rout Mount St. Mary's, but at the same time, is it 7 minutes to go? We're still playing our starters up 35 points, and, Mount St. Mary's going to have their guys ride it out, being their last game of the season. But also understand this from that game last night, watching Mount St. Mary's, you almost got that verge. You're right. A couple of those three-point shots that were off-key for American late in that game, 1 or 2 of those go down, and boy, we have some of those tense moments over the final couple minutes. They just couldn't make shots, and again, credit Mount St. Mary's. And I do love this, and again, we'll get back to this point. Hey, the state, they earned their way in as the automatic bid. You don't think Mount St. Mary's and their crowd and their university and their players and their coaches loved that game last night on the national stage, picked up an official tournament victory, and then move on to get to play Duke? So it feels like you win your conference championship. Boy, that is unbelievable. Another celebration, winning a game in the tournament itself, and then you still get the exhilaration of playing the top seed, and you have those memories. Won our conference championship, won a game in the tournament, then got to play Duke, and you can, play Cooper Flagg, the number 1 overall pick, maybe a Hall of Fame player when it's all said and done. Man, Mount St. Mary's is the big win here. Shame on the people like, they should have just got into the tournament anyway. They deserved it. What are we talking about here?
You have a positive memory of actual gameplay, a championship feeling of winning a game in the NCAA tournament, which is something you can tell your buddies 50 years from now that nobody can take away from you. It is cool to be a part of the atmosphere and the excitement, But when you're trailing by 35 with 7 minutes to go against presumed number 1 overall pick Cooper Flagg, doesn't feel all that great in the moment. A historic year for the Mount that continues to Raleigh, North Carolina tomorrow afternoon. We'll talk those title odds as the round of 64 begins next.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That magical time of the year when everyone suddenly becomes a basketball expert. Highlight watching, mascot picking, bracket stressing. Sound familiar? Skip the guesswork with Bracket Central. Real expert picks, trusted analysis, and zero stress. Because choosing teams by mascot cuteness isn't exactly a winning strategy. Only on SportsGrid.
The round of 64 begins on this Thursday for the 2025 men's NCAA Tournament. Yes, the big dance is already underway, courtesy of Dayton, Ohio, and First Four action. But this is the date we wait for year after year. This is the time in college basketball that you dream of. So before we start this 17-day sprint, where we will see 63 games in total in the tournament, with 16 over about 13 consecutive hours on this Thursday in opening round action, I remind everybody to sit back and enjoy, because it flies by. And even by the time you get to Saturday DRS to end out the opening weekend of the round of 32, and you don't have a game starting until about 2:30 in the afternoon, you miss all of this action coming at you, multiple games right away. We have reached round of 64 Thursday for the 2025 men's NCAA Tournament. The greatest of days each and every year is officially here.
Yeah, now you're going to start getting me angry about some of these start times. They just said that. Like, we need to have more balance in these schedules, which gets me upset. And yesterday on Moneyline, I did fill out my bracket here and said, okay, let me go line by line. But you know what Kevin and I talked about the other day? Do you remember, like, I guess it was like the COVID year where it was the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday edition of the tournament, which is like, hey, you're messing with tradition here. It starts Friday, but then you get the back end like, oh, you know what? Because Monday, we are craving college basketball so much from that excitement of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was nice to get it on the Monday. It was just so odd to wait till Friday at this point. So there are some quirks in the tournament that we've seen over the past couple of years, and we will see, but nothing gets my attention more than when I say, like, Why isn't a game being played right now? Why are we jamming this into the primetime episode? So thank you for reminding me of how angry I will be at certain times in this tournament. That's what I live for. I do. I live for.
Was not the point of that monologue or soliloquy, but fine, whatever. Donnie, let's go one further point. Do you remember where the NCAA turned to in 2021 when the world was a disaster and they were trying to provide that beacon of hope that can be the big dance? Do you remember where everything was housed, all the pods, everything?
I don't. I really don't. Where was it?
Indianapolis. And don't you ever forget it, this nation's greatest sports hosting city.
Yeah, I think Indy's still in COVID right now. It's so damn boring out there. So, and it hasn't changed at all. Yeah.
Ridiculous. This guy can watch the atmosphere in Dayton, Ohio, and still find something to poke a hole in. All right, DRS, let's look at those national championship odds that the field of 64 is officially set as we enter the first round on this Thursday. And a couple of changing numbers just by a few cents here and there from where things were on Selection Sunday, either prior to the bracket being unveiled or certainly after it on Sunday evening. Duke has seen its number shortened by about 30, 40 cents, now plus 280, nearly $1 in front of Florida, who has seen probably the most positive movement in the last 5-6 days after winning the SEC tournament title in Nashville. Auburn, of course, has moved back, that plus 550 price. Houston on Sunday night, a 7-1 number, shaved that price by $1 at plus 600. Then you get your drop-off to Alabama at 19-1. We'll talk about that drop-off. We'll talk about that distinction. But, Donnie, let's start with those top four prices, all of our one seeds in the NCAA tournament. Does every number for every team on the one line feel fitting to you?
It does. Like Duke plus 280 doesn't feel fitting, though. And I'm not saying it should be plus 250. I'm not saying it should be 4-1 price. But I love Duke. I actually have Duke winning in my bracket. But when you look all the way through, like these top four seeds are going to be so dominant. But I just look at that price point and say, it's not just to get to the Final Four, get to the final. That's the win it all. Yeah. And I have Florida getting to the final, which equally might even be more dominant than Duke when it's all said and done. I don't agree with the price point for Duke. I do agree with the price point from Duke being a favorite. I just think it should be a little bit closer, plus 320, plus 330 against Florida's plus 360. Because once again, look at Florida. Are we worried about injuries right now heading into the tournament to the best player? Nope. How about Auburn? No, we're not doing that. Johni Broome is fine. Houston? No, we're not worried. Duke at a plus 280 price. We technically still don't know. Now, granted, we're going to watch and see as Duke plays their first game and how healthy Cooper Flagg is. We're not expecting anything that say, wow, they really lied to us. He's not ready till the round of 32 or even into the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8. We're expecting him to be great. But also, the chance of re-injury when you have an ankle injury is quite high at this point. And also, how effective can he be? Because you need Cooper Flagg 100% to win a national championship. Because you got to be perfect in just about every game you play outside of round number one. That's the question I have. Love Duke. Think they win it, Ben. But I just think that price point is still a little bit low, plus 280.
DRS, I did some of the math yesterday, going portion by portion around the bracket, region by region, and looking at Ken Pom teams, where they are rated according to Kenneth Pomeroy and how they fit into the bracket. Of course, I do believe the selection committee takes that into account, but they use their other analytics first and foremost, like the net, the WAB now, wins above bubble, to kind of determine where these teams are. I think the East region is the easiest out there. I think Duke has the most favorable path of all of the one seeds. It could lead to the idea Duke is the national championship favorite. The East region only has 2 Ken Pom teams in the top 10. The East region only has 6 Ken Pom teams in the top 25. That is with everybody else. As you look around the Midwest, has 7 top 25 teams. Both the South and the Midwest has 3 top 10 teams in Ken Pom as well. So I do believe Duke's path through the tournament is favorable. And Donnie, as it goes to show, there is also the idea that Auburn is entering as the number 1 overall seed, but not playing its best ball. They have dropped 3 of their last 4. This is the longest price I can remember, probably since early December, on the Tigers to win a national championship. Plus 550. Really, all year long, it was Duke and Auburn neck and neck, oftentimes Auburn in front of the Blue Devils. I don't want to say is there value, but would you be willing to go in on an Auburn price knowing where they stand in the South region?
Oh, sure. I think it makes sense. Like, I you have to pick one, right? It's not like, hey, guys, fill out your bracket. You get 4 teams to win a national championship. We all go Duke, Florida, Auburn, and Houston. You set these 2 teams up, or let's say 2 playing 2, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you're like, all right, either one of these teams, once they get to the final, can certainly beat each other. And maybe you are getting a bonus, but the joke seems to write itself. It's like, hey, man, look at all those teams the SEC got in. Texas already lost. Man, downgrade Auburn right off the bat. Like, did Auburn get a bump last night if Texas won by 10 points over Xavier in that game? Like, whoa, SEC's here to play. I think it's a little bit of a long stretch to say we don't like Auburn as much as we did, let's just say, 3 weeks ago. Why? They played an unbelievably tough competition schedule, and it's still going to be tough competition once you get into March Madness. We understand that. But all the pieces and the components of what you loved about Auburn are still there, rested and ready to go. Also, getting through the SEC, you get that extra week off there. You know, you don't have that old grind of the SEC tournament here where you get knocked out. Now you can reset, reevaluate, and get back to business. I don't mind the plus 550 price. I really don't. Viable to win a national championship? Absolutely on the Tigers.
I feel like the narrative around Bruce Pearl's team is very off at this moment. Now, we have never seen a team win the NCAA tournament who dropped 3 of their final 4 games before the big dance. But those 3 games were a road game against A&M, a 4 seed in the South region, an overtime home rivalry thriller against Alabama, a 2 seed in this tournament, and in the SEC tournament against another 2 seed in the big dance. That would be Tennessee in the Midwest region. Speaking of that distinction, DRS, from the top teams that you see there, 4 best prices to win a national championship, you got to triple the number on the Cougs to get to the Crimson Tide. If you're filling out your bracket, if you did already, if you're waiting to do it right here on this Thursday, it's going to feel chalky as you go piece by piece throughout the big dance. But we have never seen teams this good at the top. All 4 1 seeds, a net rating of plus 35 or better on KenPom. In the last 20 years, we have seen 3 teams total in that 20-year window at plus 35 or better. This is as loaded as we have been on the one line, really, in the last 2 decades in the big dance.
Yeah, the new definition of the sleeper, you should be like, hey, man, got a really good price on Wisconsin at this point. Like Alabama, Tennessee, St. John's, Texas Tech, and Michigan State up to 32-1. Incredible price. Like, you are getting that value now that used to be so far down the board right up top with great basketball teams because of how good the top seeds are.
No doubt about it. Texas Tech as a 3 seed in the West region, the shortest price of anybody on the 3 line at 31-1. We'll talk most outstanding player later, but now we start to break down the big dance next.
The SEC has 14 teams in this thing. Chances are they're going to get 1/2 to the Final Four, and Florida's everybody's choice.
It's the Florida Gators for me, and you're going to get them in round number 2, fresh out of the gate. That's what makes it tough. So for me, I'm not putting a lot of stock in UConn being back-to-back national champions at this point, as if that would give them a boost.
Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. That magical time of the year when everyone suddenly becomes a basketball expert. Highlight watching, mascot picking, bracket stressing. Sound familiar? Skip the guesswork with Bracket Central. Real expert picks, trusted analysis, and zero stress. Because choosing teams by mascot cuteness isn't exactly a winning strategy. Only on SportsGrid.
63 games, 19 days. The Cinderellas, the upsets, the magical runs in the madness. It fully begins on this Thursday. It is round of 64 Thursday at the 2025 Men's NCAA Tournament. And here on this Thursday on the early line, our promise and our charge to you, we will preview and break down each and every game, what the odds makers are expecting, how chaotic and competitive these games are anticipated to be. Of course, who will win, who will survive in advance, and who will continue to march on here in the month of March. We start with the first game of the day, 12:15 p.m. Eastern Time, the 8-9 matchup in the South region. A team on the 8 line that surprised many in the Louisville Cardinals, a team that finished runner-up in the ACC tournament, reaching that tournament title game against the Blue Devils, and a team out of the Big East, the 9 seed in the South region, that being the Creighton Blue Jays. DRS, we expect this game to be close. Just look at the odds. A 2.5-point spread in favor of the Cards. A total of 145.5. It is our first game in the first round. It is round of 64 Thursday. How do you think it starts?
What a banger right off the bat, right? You're also taking a look at where this game is being played. It's Rupp Arena. It's in Lexington. It's in Kentucky.
Yeah,
Last I checked, Louisville is in the state of Kentucky. That's going to be a home game for Louisville, so an added advantage. If you are trying to break this game down, though, there are some things that Creighton does that probably could frustrate Louisville, but also getting players back in the tournament to see how they mesh back in. We'll talk about Arkansas in just a little bit with Boogie Flan expected to play for Arkansas after being him out so many weeks now. Same thing here with Louisville, where you know they like the three-point shot. 19th overall in the country at firing from three-point range. Rain Smith has been out for a couple games now in a couple weeks.
Yep.
He looks to be back in, watching the practice reports and seeing him move fluently. That means your best three-point shooter's already made over 100 three-point shots this year. Back in the fold opens up for everything else, includes Chucky Hepburn. So for my money, if you're just looking at the numbers itself, and this is where I made a change yesterday, I had Creighton advancing over Louisville. It's going to be a tough game. You see how close that spread is. But for me, the intangibles of this game, getting your best three-point shooter back, playing a de facto home game, and I'll have to cover 8, 9, or 10 points here, I'm taking the Louisville Cardinal in this game, and I changed my bracket for them to advance. So, again, I'm going to go with them with the 2.5 points to cover that spread. Even though I like to take points all over the place, this one is within that realm of outside of like 3.5, 4 points. It gets a little dicey. Louisville wins this game. They're probably going to cover the spread. I went that direction.
I give the edge to the Cards as well. DRS will highlight why in just a second. But you mentioned Rain Smith. Followed Pat Kelsey from Charleston. What Kelsey has done this year is one of the great turnarounds we have ever seen. With a victory today, Louisville will up its win total from 8 a year ago by 20 victories to 28. It would match the best we have ever seen since at least 1950 at the high major level of men's college basketball. It is phenomenal to think where Louisville was in the Kenny Payne era, where they are today. In my estimation, seeded as an 8 seed, but they do have an opportunity to survive and advance and pick up an NCAA tournament win. Rain Smith, a great shooter. The fact that he is back is only a benefit for Louisville, who has a great backcourt, led by Chucky Hepburn, the transfer from Wisconsin, led by Terrence Edwards, the transfer from JMU. A lot of scoring for Louisville there in the backcourt, but the reason I give the Cardinals the edge is the defense, the 21st most efficient defense on that side of the floor in college basketball. And Donnie, where Creighton is lacking at times is the propensity to turn the ball over, which is not what you would expect out of a Greg McDermott team led by their point guard, who has been around for a long time in Stephen Ashworth. But Creighton does turn the ball over. They're a little bit loose with it at times. I think that does benefit Louisville in a game we expect to come down to maybe just a single possession. Creighton this year, though, as an underdog, 7-2-1 against the spread. It's only a 2.5-point spread. And in March, it's about surviving and advancing. They've only won 4 of those 10 games outright as a dog this year. A great game that we can anticipate to start us off in the round of 64, 12:15 p.m. Eastern time. And to Donnie's point, we saw this yesterday in Dayton, right? Cincinnati, not all that far away for Xavier, felt like a home crowd, especially as the Musketeers started that comeback in the second half. Lexington is enemy territory for Louisville, but in terms of geography, not all that far away for an opening round NCAA tournament game. There is going to be a lot of red to back the Cards today. There is no doubt.
Yeah, odd there at Rupp Arena, right? Going to be filled with Louisville fans, so sort of that added edge to the environment. But you're also taking a look at some things that the Creighton defense does good, because they are 42nd in efficiency, which, again, isn't as good as Louisville, and that's what you're going to lean on. But you take a look at scoring inside the paint here. Top 20 in the country at 57% for Louisville, but Creighton is pretty stingy there, which does include 14th in the country, which this is interesting, where one team, Louisville, wants to score from the three-point line, and one team in Creighton that will defend you down low but allow you to score through that point differential. It really does come down in this game to the three-point shot, who's making it with volume and who's going to be able to succeed in doing that. So for me, I just trusted the home environment. I think I have a better team with Louisville, even though some of the metrics do favor Creighton just a bit, but sometimes it comes down to shot making there. And if I think I get one of the best shot makers in the country back at three-point range, not even Ben for him to shoot his 10 three-point shots a game, just standing there at the three-point line, every bit on Creighton has to understand who's open, which leaves everybody else with a better opportunity to score. That's why I went with Louisville in this game, and I'm comfortable making that shift off of Creighton.
Creighton also has one of the best bigs in college basketball in Ryan Kalkbrenner. You'll look at some of the metrics, and Creighton is a great two-point shooting team percentage-wise. Why? Because of Kalkbrenner in the middle for CU. But the Blue Jays love to take threes. In fact, most of their point output comes from range. It's an interesting distinction. But Kalkbrenner, 4-time reigning Big East Defensive Player of the Year. 2 players in that league have ever won the award 4 straight times. Patrick Ewing, Creighton's Ryan Kalkbrenner. Our second game of the day, 12:40 p.m. Eastern Time. Purdue and High Point, 7.5-point spread in favor of the Boilers. Total working its way back up to 154.5. DRS, this is one of the spots in the opening round where people are thinking there is an upset. This line opened at 9.5 in favor of Purdue. Now it's just 7.5 in favor of the Boilermakers.
Yeah, take the points and pray. I mean, look, High Point's a very good team with a lot of wins under their belt. You're not even asking them to win the game just to be competitive, and nobody would be surprised with 5 or 6 minutes to go in the first half that you might have a single-digit or one-possession game, which leads you in the right direction. But for me, it's hard to quantify. Like, you see the efficiency for High Point. It's a step up in competition, though. Does it translate?
We continue to preview this game and everything else on Round of 64 Thursday. Next.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That magical time of the year when everyone suddenly becomes a basketball expert. Highlight watching, mascot picking, bracket stressing. Sound familiar? Skip the guesswork with Bracket Central. Real expert picks, trusted analysis, and zero stress. Because choosing teams by mascot cuteness isn't exactly a winning strategy. Only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on the early line on SportsGrid, rounding out our opening hour on the opening day of the round of 64, the 2025 men's NCAA Tournament in DRS, a game that we saw early when the lines opened up on Sunday that is nowhere close to what it was. That's our matchup, 4-13 in the Midwest region. Purdue, last year's national runner-up and the 4 seed in the Midwest, against the 13 seed in High Point into the big dance for the first time in program history. Has been a D1 school for about 2.5 decades, the champions of the Big South, and a team that metrically, when you look at teams around this mid-major level, as elite offensively as you will find, 25th most efficient offense in college basketball. It is a reason that High Point opened as a 9.5-point dog. Now they're only getting 7.5. Do you agree with where that market movement stands for this round of 64 game in Providence?
Again, it's hard. Like when you step out of your element, like you say, man, they're really the efficient offense. And then you say, well, Purdue's 7th in efficiency in the country going against NBA players on a day-to-day basis. High Point's going against, hey, guys that are going to go into their second career at Enterprise Rent-A-Cars, we like to say. So how does that efficiency actually hold up at this point is what it's hard to quantify. But for me, I'm always, in the tournament, these are good basketball teams that make it in. I love to lean towards the points. Yes, Purdue's the better team, but if we're just looking at like statistics, hey, High Point should be able to do whatever they want theoretically on offense. But when everybody on the opposite side is bigger, faster, and stronger than what you play, how does that efficiency actually check out? So am I saying I'm going to fade High Point in this spot? Not necessarily. And as I told you, I do like to take the points. But as a handicapper myself, it's puzzling to me because I honestly, Ben, I don't know how High Point might come. Hey, look, they're 25th best offense in the country. They're up and down the court. They look fantastic. He's like, yeah, the numbers make sense. But again, when you're playing teams that aren't very good and now going to play one of the best teams in the country, how does that hold up? And Ben, we're not talking about 18.5 points. Like we're expecting High Point to be in this game from tip all the way through. Now, Purdue does have a tournament blemish or two on their roster against teams that they technically shouldn't have lost to, but you can't play that way. Like, oh, this team, what does this team have? Oh, well, their coach or whatever. No, different players, different times. Get after it.
Purdue does have some of that March resume that you do not love, and I think that notoriety is certainly why some people are back at High Point in the Panthers at this moment. Purdue was able to change the narrative, led by Zach Edey a year ago, get into the first Final Four for the program since 1980. But Purdue also not playing their best basketball as of right now. They lost 6 of their last 9 entering the big dance. They only covered 3 times in that span. Over, though, in 4 of their last 5. DRS, for me, 2 elite offenses, 2 teams not great on the defensive side of the floor. The best bet that I gave out on our selection show on Sunday night was Purdue High Point over 154.5. Market worked against me in the days since. 152 and a hook. I bet it at 153.5 when I was able to get off air on Sunday night. That number back up to 154 and a hook. I think one of the reasons the total started to drop is because it's not just about being elite on the offensive side, DRS. It's also pace. Neither the Panthers nor the Boilers play all that much up-tempo. I still think we will see some points today. It is our second game of the day in a wonderful pod of games and teams in Providence, Rhode Island. Let's get to our next game up, the 5-12 matchup, and one that everybody loves to highlight from a potential upset perspective. In the Midwest region, Clemson is the 5 seed. Made it to the Elite 8 a year ago against McNeese, the 12 seed, into the big dance for a second consecutive year, led by Will Wade. But we did get the news yesterday that Wade is heading to NC State. Do you think that factors at all, DRS, into your outlook for this game, the slight idea of distraction for the Cowboys and their head coach?
It shouldn't, but in my mind, it makes a big deal for me. Like, oh, maybe I wanted to pull the upset for McNeese now and see what Will Wade does. I hope they get beat by 40 points and everybody blames Will Wade for the loss because the team wasn't focused. I know you can't handicap or get into that, and I'm pretty sure they're happy for Will Wade in their own way, but it's just, taking that spotlight away when this could have waited just a few more days before he's out of there. Having said that, though, once again, you're talking about lower-level competition in McNeese, a very, very good basketball team, though. But are they very, very good if they played in the ACC or the SEC at that point? Probably not. Understand this, too. Clemson has an unbelievably good defensive footprint. The one thing that we do know also is McNeese plays defense, but again, against not like competition that Clemson has. The three-point game, again, is going to be big because Clemson likes to shoot it, and McNeese will let you shoot that three-point shot. I do think Clemson wins and advances. I was higher on McNeese a couple days previous before actually getting into the numbers with a chance to pull off the upset, but I would be shocked if Clemson lost to McNeese State, again, who is a very good ball club.
Last year, McNeese was a 12 seed, looking to pull the upset over the 5 seed in Gonzaga. Everybody and their mother had that in their bracket. The Cowboys got beat by 20 plus against the Zags. Can they turn it around this year? We'll talk about it when Hour 2 starts next.